Hello everybody. I just want to show you something that I brought back from Germany. Peter and I were in Germany about 2 weeks ago. We spent a week there, and one of the things that I love doing when I'm in other countries is going to museums. And so we went to both the museum in Hamburg and also the one in Bremen. And this is the one from Bremen. And anyway, I bought some postcards and they gave them to me in what I thought was an envelope. And then I got them home and opened up the envelope, which looked like this. And as I opened it up, I realised that, here are my lovely postcards, by the way. But anyway, I realised that this isn't an envelope. This is like a poster, and they have folded it into an envelope. And so I thought, hey, you could do that with your own drawings. So I thought I would just show you what you could do. And I've opened it up, measured it, and I'm going to give you a few measurements and show you what you can do. So should we give it a go? Right, so this is what I thought we would work from, my inspiration for my colours and stuff. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by using some jelly prints, some collage, and I've got a little collection of bits and pieces here, some jelly prints onto black paper, that kind of thing, and I'm just going to put them in certain places. I'll see where I think they go best. In this area here, that's dark, so I could use the black paper in areas like that. Obviously, this is almost a square and this is a rectangle, but it doesn't matter. I can extend it. So I'm just going to pull out some different things. Here's just some text paper. That's quite fun to have as well. So I'll maybe put that somewhere as well. And I'm actually going to glue it down with matte medium. So I'll go into fast forward and you'll see how I start to glue down my bits and pieces. So okay, see you in a minute. Right, so this is dried now. I've just dried it with a heat gun, and now I'm just going to put on a layer of clear gesso over the whole surface, and that is so that I can work on top of the matte medium, which I've spread all over the place. It evens out the surface, because I don't know if you can see, but where I've had the matte medium here, it's slightly darker, slightly glossy. Don't want that. I want my pencils to be able to grab the surface, and so I'm just putting this on like this. And you don't want a thick layer of clear gesso. Clear gesso is something that you want to be fairly mean with. Spread it out as thinly as possible, because if it's too thick, then it gets a bit gungy. When you start to draw into it, it takes longer to dry for a start. And when you draw into it, it's almost as though the paper is soft underneath, and I don't like that. I don't want it to have any textural surface particularly. What will happen with clear gesso is that it will make the surface sandy, sandpapery, and it'll grip my pencils really, really well. So that's why I'm putting it on. And although it was white, it dries transparent. There. So there, I've got it all over the place. Now that just has to dry. And as you can see, it looks very milky at the moment, but that will dry and become transparent. Right, I'm going to start to sketch this up now. I must apologise if there's a funny hissing noise in the background. It's because it's very, very hot and I have a fan on, because otherwise I melt. But I hope that you can concentrate anyway without thinking about that. Okay, so I'm going to start to sketch this up, and I'm going to start by looking at the stalk here, and I'm using a Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer watercolour pencil, and it's in a colour called Pine Green, and that will eventually melt slightly when I add water. But I'm just going to sketch this up a little bit here. So I have some areas that I can follow. And I'm exaggerating certain areas, not making it look exactly like the picture. So it doesn't really matter. For me, this is going to be a pattern, so it doesn't really matter whether it looks like the picture or not. I'm being guided by the picture, that's all. So let us see. As you can see, it's a hydrangea, and some of the flowers have come out and some of them haven't. And it was the colours that I loved. This is a picture that I took when I was in Germany a couple of weeks ago, and I just couldn't resist it. And if you think it looks a bit odd, it's not like an ordinary photo with all these edges and things. It's because I've used my Hipstermatic app that I have on my iPhone, which I use quite a lot to give different effects. I like what it does to the photographs. It makes them almost easier to paint because they're already like a painting. There we have that, there we have that, and then let's add some sort of lines. I'm doing this sort of thing. As you can see, I'm not doing details particularly. I'm just trying to sort of mark where the things are. There we have a flower. A bit of another flower there. Over here we have some sort of green leaves, line that comes down, and then up here. There's no point in me working in that colour there because you won't be able to see it, so I'm just going to add what looks like another little flower up there in the corner, and a line there, and the edge of my flower there. Okay. Then we have a bit of light that comes there as well. There, that I think will do. And now I'm going to start adding some paint, and I'm going to use a mixture of watercolours and gouache. So these are mostly watercolours and these are mostly gouache. Gouache and watercolour, both water soluble even after they've dried. Gouache is opaque, so it's perfect if you want to work on a coloured background like I'm doing. But I'm going to start off with sort of darkish colours. So I am going to begin with, let's see what we should take here. This colour here is a very dark green, and it's called Prussian green. It's a Daniel Smith colour. And I'm just going to add that to the background. And because I've had a layer of, or applied a layer of Clear Gesso on it, this paper, then this paper will take watercolour paper, and water, without a problem. So I just want to show you what I'm trying to do. I'm just sort of filling in the dark areas with this. So I'll fill in the dark areas and I'll speed it up a bit so that you don't get bored. Right, now, next stage, I want to put some of the blues and a bit of the purples in. So I have got a colour called Tharlo Blue Red Shade here, and I have a palette here beside me. I'll put it there, so maybe, no, you can't see it. It doesn't matter where I put it, you can't see it. Okay, So I'm going to fill in some of the blues. Now this is transparent, so this is going to dry dull. Then I'm going to add some white gouache to this, and that I think will help, so that it will be not just a paler blue, but it'll be more opaque as well, so it'll cover the background a bit more. I'm going to be using pencils on this as well, so it won't just look like this. Right, I'm going to take a little bit of white now, mix it with the blue, and fill in a bit of that as well, so that it comes alive a bit more. Can you see how the gouache covers it more? You can't see as much of the collage paper underneath. Right, it's quite dark in the background there that I haven't filled in, so I'm going to add a bit of that Prussian green again that I had before, that I used over here, just to fill it in. And it's all kind of mixing together, but it's okay, because as I said, I'm going to go over with pencils, and then I'll get the details coming out a bit more. That was a mixture of the blue and the Prussian green with a little bit of white. And there are a few little blue bits up here in the background, blue dots. Right, that's the blue bit. Now I want to get a bit more of the purple, so I'm going to have to mix some magenta here into my blue, so that we get that kind of a colour. Painted on my table there. Okay, and a little bit more of the white. The blue is really powerful, so it takes over immediately. Right, now I've got some of the darker colours here, so let's put some of that darker in here and see what happens. This is very dotty, so I'm just going to dot on the background there. And then over here as well. And then take a bit more of the white and add a bit of that in there too. I'm just going to take a little bit more of the magenta, change the tone slightly. There's a bit more pink, a bit more white. Now there's quite a lot of white there, so I've actually covered the text on that. But if I want that text to show a bit more, then I will water it down a bit. And in fact, it's almost a greeny white, isn't it, this colour here. More water. More water, more water. Can you see that the green pen that I drew with is also melting? And that's giving an effect as well. Right, a little bit more of the magenta, I think, to fill in a little bit over here. Right, a little bit more over here, I think, for this edge. I can work on that with pencil. And then up here we've got something. There's a sort of turquoisey thing there again, so I think I'm going to go back to the blue that I had, and I mixed it with the Prussian green to see if I get the right colour. I'll add a bit of water there so it's see-through, because then the jelly print will show through. Okay, right, that will do for a second. I'm going to give it a little break, let it dry, and then I'm going to go back in with some green. I'm not at all finished, but I think it can rest for a while now.